circumstance that brought me was she had a twin. She passed away in November. So that loss kind of caused a whole shake in my world and nerves. So we had a rough patch, and the entire last year we kind of lived in that loop. So I decided a year anniversary that we were going to change our new year, that we were going to do something different. You know, couldn't stay stable, couldn't keep a job, was afraid of losing her so bad. So I just got crazy for a minute. But then I said we got to do something different with this because we can't keep going couch to couch and not being stable. So I decided the day before her anniversary that we were going to change our new year, that we make resolutions, you know, all the time and nobody ever sticks to it. But our life had changed so drastically. And an opportunity came, my friend said, hey, if you want to help you, there's this place called the Mustard Seed. Can we call on your behalf? And I said, sure. And on the day that she passed, November 28th, she had to call back and come here. And we came through the doors with our clothes we had on our back, some coats, and a dirty car seat. And now we have so many different things. Like, if, you know, I just couldn't keep myself together. And I needed to, because it wasn't healthy for her. They found me grief counseling. They've helped me rebuild. I don't go through the periods of depression alone, because there's somebody to come in and check. When I'm in a mishap where my memory can't keep up because I'm going through the stuff with her, there's that friendly reminder that says, hey, you know, gives you more structure, gives you a chance to breathe. Take a moment to heal from yourself, from what's going on around you.
So Mustard Seed is a home for women and women with children who are experiencing homelessness. We have roughly 8,000 square feet of space, two sides of our building, one for women and their children, moms and kids, and another space for single ladies. We welcome our guests who come to us often from living in their cars, living on the streets, from couch to couch, shelter to shelter, and we welcome them to our beautiful home on Cherry Street in Saginaw and allow them to come in and feel safe and dignified, and provide them with a warm place to lay their head as they begin to unpack the stories of their lives and what maybe led them to homelessness.
I am a big believer in vocabulary and the words that you choose. And it's interesting that you chose the word when our guests come to us. How important is that?
It's extremely important. And it truly is. The folks that come to us, we do treat them as guests. It's a common term. And these folks have been case managed their whole life. They've been a client. They've been, a participant. They've been a consumer. Which are all very institutionalized terms, if you will. And so that idea of welcoming a guest, we have guests over for dinner. We treat them in a certain way. We bring out the fancy dishes. We make sure the house is clean when we have guests. And that's exactly what we do here at Mustard Seed.
Wonderful. What I'd like to do is take a moment here to kind of go back to the beginning of Mustard Seed. So, Leona, my first question to you is, where are you from and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Detroit.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and that's where I'm from. Yes.
Now, what brought you to Saginaw?
Bishop Buntner. I was a religious at the time, and he wanted a new director of Christian service. And so he called me up and said, I'd like to take you out for lunch and interview you for the job. And so he came to Detroit, and we went out and that's how I got here.
Now, what was it that made you decide or to start pursuing or going after creating Mustard Seed in the first place?
Really, it was a retreat. It was a calling that I felt. I wanted to be a little bit more experiencing living with the poor and living with people who are on the margins of society. And so I had thought of working in a homeless shelter, and one day at the retreat, I said, oh, why don't I just start a place? And so that's how it began. And when I came back, I had a friend I was with. She said, "Oh, you got to talk to this sister at Day House in Detroit," which was a homeless shelter. And when I went there, then she introduced me to. Well, I didn't meet her. She just told this other woman that I was interested in starting a shelter. And so that woman called me up 2 weeks later and said, Janine said, "Leona, I want to start a shelter also, and I'd love to do it in Saginaw." I said, "Well, you and I better get together." So she came up, and then she was a psychologist, just a lovely woman. She had also struggled with alcoholism and was 10 years clean. And she also had struggled with bipolar. So she understood, what most of our women go through. And so that was wonderful because I did not have that in my background.
Right.
And so then I said, well, there's somebody else I talked to about 5 years ago. So I called her up and I told her we wanted to do this. Would she like to do it too? She said yes. That was Rosalie Regal, and she was teaching at Saginaw Valley. And so then I called the bishop, and I said, can 3 of us want to start it was a Catholic worker. It was the kind of shelter we wanted to start. And he said, oh, great. He said, I've always wanted a Catholic worker in my diocese. So that was how it began.
So just to go back and unpack a couple things here. First off, you said that you felt led to live with people that were marginalized, that were struggling.
On a retreat, it's a call. I felt that it was a call from God that's what I should be doing.
Well, I asked the question because starting a shelter, and you're especially with nonprofit, and you're going to you're going to have to go out and ask for people for donations just to keep the doors open. And I can't help but to think there's easier things to do in life, like brain surgery or pickleball or something like that. Why start your own shelter?
Well, because it was a response to living more radical Christian life. We did not take money, so we were not paid. We just did this, and the idea was if the 3 of us lived together and we each had a part-time job, we wouldn't need much money from other people.
Okay. So when did Mustard Seed open the doors? When did you first open?
Well, we lived together for 3 months, and actually the bishop asked us to keep a missionary couple, and then we had to go through the zoning board. So the doors really opened in 1995 to receiving guests.
Okay. All right. And why don't you talk to us a little bit about some of those challenges that popped up along the way to actually get these doors opened?
Well, the zoning was one of them. And so because we were in a single family home, and it was zoned for that. So we went door to door, and we had people in the neighborhood sign that they were willing to have a shelter in their in the neighborhood. And so that made a big difference. And then we had somebody who said they would like to come and speak before the city council in our favor.
Nice.
And so that was the first big hurdle that we had.
Amy, you came on board at the Mustard Seed about when?
In 1995, I was mid-college, so I was 20 years old, and I was a student at Saginaw Valley State University, and I had a part-time job as the youth minister at the cathedral, St. Mary Cathedral, here in Saginaw, where Leona was a parishioner, and so we just were all connected. Leona was getting ready to start Mustard Seed, and so I think there were a few days when I would take kids over to the Mustard Seed and to tear out carpet and paint walls to get the house ready to welcome people. So really from the very beginning. And then I went away to college to finish my education for a couple of years. And when I came back, I was involved sometimes a little bit more and sometimes not so much throughout those years. There was a time when Leona invited me to be part of a team of people who would train volunteers, things like that. So really from the very beginning. But then I became the director in 2014. Around 2010, 2011, Mustard Seed, the board of directors began to start planning for the future. I think Leona knew that she lived at Mustard Seed until she bought a house in 2009.
Well, once Amy was going to come on staff, my bedroom needed to be her office.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, and I had asked the board I said, I don't want to wake up when I'm 80 and find out, that I can't do it and there's no plan. Yeah. So one of the men said, when would you like this? I said, well, maybe by the time I'm 75, if we could have a director, it would be good. Right. The day before I turned 75, Amy was signed in as the new director.
Yes.
Timing was perfect.
October of 2014. Yeah.
Now, where are you from originally, Amy?
I was born and raised in Saginaw.
Oh, okay. So you're total local.
Yeah. I'm a local girl. Yep.
Die hard. Nice.
Yes.
I know there's other shelters that are in the area. So what is it about Mustard Seed that makes it different?
So for one thing, Mustard Seed, we serve a pretty specific population, and that is just women and women with children who are experiencing homelessness. We are very blessed in Saginaw to have a great group of roughly 6 to 7 organizations who are doing the work of serving those who are experiencing homelessness. And each shelter kind of has its own niche, if you will, which is really a blessing in our community. So, for example, there's another home, which is Emmaus House, and they serve just single women who are coming from drug or alcohol treatment or jail or prison. And they have a very specific program for them. It's kind of transitional living from those institutional settings, until they are able to be on their own. If there is a mom who is coming from jail or prison or drug or alcohol rehab, Mustard Seed is the place for her because we accept children. So really, our shelters are all very unique, and we work extremely well together to make sure that folks are, off the streets and in our shelters. When we are able to welcome them from that situation or any other situation for that matter, the important thing is that they find a soft place to fall here at Mustard Seed, and then are able to take a deep breath, feel love and mercy and compassion and care from our staff and our volunteers, and really from each other. Our women do a great job of coming together with each other and supporting one another. And once that is taken place, usually after a week or two, we hear our guests start to talk about where do I go from here? One of the important questions that we ask oftentimes is, what is your role in our community? Where are you going to fit in? Are you going to be a worker at McDonald's? Are you going to be a student? Are you going to be a volunteer somewhere? What is your purpose? And that's a really good framework from which to build. Just the other day, I had, one of our moms said, I'm ready to go back to school. I want to finish my education. It was interrupted. I had all these kids and now I'm ready. This is the number of credit hours that I need toward a degree in criminal justice. So I'm able to hook her up with one of our board members, has an organization that he's part of called Bridge the Gap that helps with education money toward
That is so
law
cool.
enforcement education. Yeah. So there are just really great things that happen really on the daily basis.
That's wonderful. That was actually the next question I was going to run down was obviously when the women do come here and they're staying here, is there some kind of a transition to try to get them out onto their own? Can they stay for a certain period of time? How does that work?
Definitely, that is the goal. So once they're here for a couple of days, we meet with them and start talking about, how is it that where were you before this? You're here now. And where do you want to be? And so sometimes, and it's different for every person, that is something that sets us apart, is we really do meet each person right where they're at, versus a program where it's like, fill this box, fill this box, fill this box, and maybe you'll get here, right? But we meet our people right where they're at and really listen to their stories. Like this mom who said, I want to finish this. I started
That is
something,
so cool.
I started something and I'm ready to finish it now. So, and everyone is very individualized. So, we find out what barriers they might have. Like, for example, do they have their birth certificates with them? Do they need to get a state ID or a driver's license, social security cards, things that you need to be able to access, really anything, including housing. Sometimes our guests have not been to a medical doctor in a long time. Maybe they have mental health issues that they need to address, substance use disorder issues. And so we really work to kind of get to the bottom of all of that. If we had to say, and I know Leona mentioned it just a little bit, perhaps the most common thread of what causes homelessness would be untreated mental illness and untreated substance use disorder issues.
And sexual abuse.
So yes, trauma as well, unaddressed trauma. And so we know that we need to give our folks the time to address those issues, to get into some good work and to really begin to heal, so that then they can successfully function in a job, therefore then pay for an apartment, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's one of the things that does make us different. If the person needs a little longer time in order to get some of these other things under their belt before they start moving out, then, we give them that time.
Yeah.
Great.
So, and that's very important. So the average length of stay, we would say the average is usually like 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
But some people are shorter than that. Sometimes people have gotten a job and they just need a few weeks to save money for a security deposit, right? So they're just here for a few weeks. We help them save the money and then they're off they go. Yep. But for the most part, the average length of stay is about 3 to 6 months. The way that we are able to do that, because a lot of places will say it's 30 days or it's a hard 60 days or a hard 90 days. But because of the way we fund ourselves, we are able to have really leniency with that. So we are 100% privately funded, with the exception of a very small grant that we get through the city of Saginaw, but they're very easy to work with. Part of the main reason why we don't take government funding for our day-to-day operations is because it is a lot of red tape.
But we do get a lot of HUD money.
Yes.
And that has been a great blessing, because having women get help with shelter when they move out was a real game changer when we began that. Yes. To have a future with hope, to know that you could get help with housing. Sometimes they just didn't make enough money to possibly be able to rent a house, raise kids, do all of that. So that just has been a great thing for us.
Yes. What Leona's talking about is our permanent supportive housing grants. So basically for Mustard Seed, we have our day-to-day shelter, our shelter program, and then it's a separate program called permanent supportive housing. So we manage money from HUD. it's a good government program. As she said, it people can be in it for as long as they need to be. We have people who then work it. So it goes for rental assistance and utility assistance. So the participant in that program pays 30% of their income toward their rent and utilities, which is extremely fair. That's what a financial advisor would tell anyone, that you shouldn't be spending more than 30%,
Right.
toward your living expenses. So it's very fair. And we have people who work themselves off of that program, which is wonderful. So they take the assistance while they need it. But again, so that's good government money. And not that the other is that the other is not supportive at all. It's just
We don't
a little bit prohibitive at times.
We don't want the program to be run by what the goals of the government funding is.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because every area has its own specific needs, and people that are here in Saginaw have very different needs than Miami, Florida.
Right. Or
So
Los Angeles. Or wherever,
Yes. So one of the things that really struck me when I came in here, especially the first time, how nice this place is. That really blew me away when I came in here. And to tell you the truth, I don't really know what I had expectations, but coming in here, it was like, it's just really nice in here, and everything that you have. Talk to us about your approach to having just a really nice living space.
Well, we both could talk about this for a long time, but I think Leona mentioned it. Part of her early work and the vision and the mission and of what the mission was formed out is, if you can imagine the term, radical hospitality. So not only do we want to be hospitable, but we want to be radical about it, right? So we say very proudly that we practice radical hospitality. What do you need? We just welcomed a woman today. And this does not happen every day, but her worker from community mental health. I was in another part of the building and someone said, "There's someone here." And I looked and I said, "I don't have anything. I don't have an appointment or anything," but I came out and it was a community mental health worker and this woman. And I said, "Hello, and she just said, "I need a place to stay." And it so happened that we had a room that we had, that someone had moved out yesterday. So we had a volunteer here. We were able to turn the room around and get it, ready for her.
Now, to have a facility like this, because we've talked a lot about how it just looks so nice on the inside and giving people brand new, and it just must be, just from a sponsor standpoint, everybody, because everybody's, that you've got that is donating money to this, it has just got to be, I would think that they'd be pleased with what it is that you're doing here, because this really is raising the bar as far as how we're able to help people.
Absolutely. We are very blessed to hear that people are all in with Mustard Seed, and that they appreciate and recognize the things that we've talked about, and then in turn want to be part of it. So Mustard Seed is a community here at 1325 Cherry Street, but it also is a part of the larger community. And that has really grown naturally as we've grown, because we went from, in 1995, serving 7 or 8 people, right? Roughly. A few more. Yeah. And then in 2002, moving to our current location where we could serve 15 to 17 people, women with children, to now, since 2020, since we made an expansion, we are now serving on a daily basis 35 to 40 individuals. So as Mustard Seed has grown, so has the response from the community and the support from the community. So we get
Grateful.
Yes, we are extremely grateful. Yes. I mean, because it makes such a difference. It saves lives.
Yes.
The work that we do here. I mean, literally. So back to sponsorships a little bit. As I said, we are blessed and grateful that our community supports us, and it is amazing that when there's a need, without even thinking about it, without even asking for it, it comes. We have to believe that that's a God thing for sure. So just the other day, I'll give you an example. We have a big connection with Saginaw Valley State University, so we provide their students a lot of opportunities to gain experience and things like that. It helps us out. And anyway, we have a group of occupational therapy students right now. And in any case, they came and they're like, well, so they're going to do some life skills classes with our guests and things like that. But one of the things we've talked about for a long time is having an outdoor play area. And,
nice.
And that's a great occupational therapy thing to do for them to design what equipment we would want, what they need. So they're going to work on that. And I wasn't quite certain how exactly we might pay for that, but I'm like, go ahead, do it. We'll figure it out, right? And 2 days ago, today's Tuesday, Monday, I got a call from a Rotary Club in Frankenmuth, and they said, we don't want to be for profit, but we have a lot of extra money right now. And so we want to kind of dwindle our bank, just so that so that it's being used in the community. And I said, how would you feel about supporting a playground project for Mustard Seed? And they said, consider it done.
Man, I love it when God does that stuff.
I know, right?
That is so cool. I love
I
that.
emailed the occupational therapy students and I'm like, go for it. The sky's the limit. And they were like, really? They were very excited. So it's little things like that. And then we have a great small business community. A lot of our small businesses in Saginaw will do a pickup little fundraiser for us because they care and they want to be part of it. Lots of individual donors. We have a program called Friends of Mustard Seed Shelter. And if anyone would like to learn more about that, they can visit our website at it's themustardseedshelter.org. That's a great way to be a monthly donor if someone is interested in that. We have so many other ways to help out too. As I said, Mustard Seed is all about community. I mean, if we had to say the number of guests that we've served over the past almost 30 years, it'll be 30 years next year, we would be getting close to probably 2,000.
Oh, yeah.
But if we looked at the number of people who have volunteered, donated, been part of Mustard Seed in some way, we're talking tens of thousands of people,
Sure.
that have come together to support and, so it's a pretty special thing.
Well, it definitely is. And one of the things I do want to talk about here before we wrap up is this concert.
Oh, yeah.
That's going on. Tell us about the concert. How can people attend the concert?
Yeah.
Who's going to be there?
Sure. So this is a great example of a group coming together and saying we want to help in some way. So there's a band here in Saginaw. They're excellent. They're called Stone Street Revival. Many people know about them. Donnie Brown is their leader, and they have a great host of other musicians that make their band up. So they started several years ago doing like little tribute bands or special shows. And they have chosen Mustard Seed to be a benefactor of these concerts that they're doing. So they did 2 shows of last year it was called Pure AM Gold, and it was really cool. It was like an AM radio throwback, people called in requests and all that. But anyway, this year on February 17th at the Court Street Theater in Saginaw, they are doing a show. It is called Flatbed Ford. And if anyone out there is an Eagles fan, that is a line in an Eagles song. Anyway, it is a tribute to the Eagles. So really great music. There are 2 shows for that day. One is at 2:00 in the afternoon and then an evening show at 7:00. Tickets are extremely reasonably priced. The matinee show is $15 and the evening show is $20. And these guys are good. They're really good musicians. So if you're not doing anything, or if you need I don't know when this is going to air, but if it's not Valentine's Day, that's a great Valentine's Day gift,
Yes.
But anyway, we're grateful to all of the people involved in that for supporting us. Danny Dog Productions is the name of the production company. So, so that's February 17th. I will say one thing. We are in the process of really working to increase the number of emails we have. We're going to start doing monthly email blasts, just a quick little email that says what's going on, what our current needs are. The towels and pillows that you talked about, like those we don't buy those. Those all get donated. So if you have a church group or a school group or some sort of group that's looking to do some sort of collection, we always have ideas for that of things that we, legitimately need.
And if people want to learn more about the mustard seed and what it is you guys doing, maybe get some more information on the concert, they can do that at your website,
Yes.
themustardseed.com.
Mustardseedshelter.org. It had to be really long.
Yes.
.org.
Four words. Did I say from?
No, he did.
Okay. .org. Organization. Yes.
Leona, Amy, it's been great having you on the show today. Thank you so much for talking to us about mustard seed and what it is you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
And for our audience, you can always roll on over to totalmichigan.com and click on Amy's interview and get all the links that she mentioned above. We'll see you next week when we talk to another Michigander doing some pretty extraordinary things. We'll see you then.